Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the first of 4 town hall meetings we're going to have. They're all 4 going to be here. We did have some agendas for all 4 meetings that are available over on the desks there. Bringing us to this point, there was a committee, and it's a large number of people, and I'm going to run down it quickly. Before I do that, let me say thank you to the Twin Oaks School staff, Principal Sue Miller, Board of Education of Mount Vernon, and Superintendent Bill Cedar. They were all part of making this meeting possible and making it possible in this auditorium. Teresa B. Miller, County Commissioner. Teresa, I'm going to ask these people to stand. They have all been part of the committee and the planning, some by meeting, some by email, some by telephone. Teresa B. Miller was County Commissioner. Rob Roran is the City Law Director. I'm not sure Rob is here. Chad Christopher, Mount Vernon Fire Chief. Tom Collier, County Commissioner. Tom will be handling Q&A a little bit later, as well as introduction of Danville Police officers. Joel Daniel, Safety Service Director. Ashley Deidinger of KSAT, the Knox County Health Department. Talk her over there. John Francis, Second Ward City Council, is on the committee. Rick Lanuza, Frederick County EMS Chief. Myself, Chip McConville, Knox County Prosecutor. Some are not here because this isn't their night, but they will be here following. Scott McKnight, Mount Vernon Police Captain. Scott here. Julie Miller, Health Commissioner. Roger Monroe, Mount Vernon Police Chief. David Brees, Chief Probation Officer, Municipal Court. And Jay Sheffer, Captain, Knox County Sheriff's Department. Judge John Thatcher, John C. Thatcher, is Municipal Court, is not here tonight. William Cedar, Mount Vernon School Superintendent, I don't believe is here. Judge Jennifer Springer from Probate Juvenile Court, I don't think is here. Laura Webster, Operations Director, 911 Dispatch. And Judge Richard Wetzel, Common Pleas Judge, is not here. Jeff Williams, Executive Director of Freedom Center. All these people will be here one of the 4 nights that they have been assigned. Also, I want to introduce Councilmember Nancy Vale and Susan Carl are here, aside from the 2 that have already. Bruce Hawkins was here. And I think that's all of the people that have been involved in this project. There have been other meetings held. Oftentimes the turnout is not what we'd like. This one is the beginning. And tonight we think we're going to have one of the, well, they're all going to be interesting. This one's covering a topic, drug awareness and the local drug culture. And to tell us about that, 2 gentlemen standing over here, they look like police detectives, and that's exactly what they are. Lieutenant Craig Feeney of the Knox County Sheriff's Department, and then Detective Corporal J.T. DeChant of the Mount Vernon Police Department. Gentlemen, the floor is yours.
We'd like to thank you for coming out tonight. See some new faces, some familiar faces. Before we get started, our little presentation, I got a question. You're going to get to ask us questions later. How many people here have a family member or know a family member of somebody who's been affected by drugs? A few. How many have had opportunities to clean up, have gone clean for a while, and then relapse and back in the game again? I mean, haven't had that opportunity. Did everybody hear me? Loud enough? Use the mic. Let's try to keep away from this about me in '97, I started in law enforcement with the Fredericktown Police Department. I was there for about 2.5 years. From there, I was hired on with the Vernon Police Department. I was there almost 14 years. In 2006, I went back to the Detective Division. And throughout my entire career, my little niche, what I like to do is work dope. So in 2013, I made a career change, went to the Knox County Sheriff's Office, where I'm now the division commander for the Detective Division, and still our primary focus is drugs. So I'm going to give JT a chance to explain his little career here. Go from there.
I started law enforcement in 1998 in Fredericktown as well. As you'll see, I hopscotched behind Craig for years. Whatever he got into, I got into. Probably known each other 30 years, and we'll find out tonight we feed off of each other, we finish each other's sentences, and things. It's almost scary. But 12 years of Mountain PD, I've been a detective, I've been 6 years there, and just like Craig, I found that doing work was kind of my niche. I enjoy doing it. Sometimes you're ready to burn out, you kind of got to watch and get yourself away from it. But now in my career, by being able to empower all of you to help us, that's less that I have to do. And I can work smarter instead of harder as well.
JT,
Sorry, so
can you hear?
here you go.
Better?
Yeah.
Turn the heat up. We've done these in the past, and JT made a comment. And we're going to elaborate on that comment several times, and that is, this isn't a law enforcement problem, it's a community problem. And we're going to explain that as we go through, and some of the trials and tribulations as it relates to law enforcement and the community. That being said, we're going to get into our presentation here. Hopefully it's informative. Hopefully you'll see some stuff that you haven't seen. Some of the trends that we're seeing, how dangerous the stuff is that we're dealing with. As you're going to see in the presentation, just like marijuana, the mindset with the public and the communities, no big deal. Well, the 1970s stuff, probably no big deal. That's changed now, and you're going to get a taste of what's changed and why it's still a serious issue. So, Knox County is unique because we have 2 drug task forces. We have the Central Ohio Drug Enforcement Task Force, we have the Metrics Task Force. I'll speak a little bit about the Central Ohio Drug Enforcement Task Force. We'll talk about the metrics, and we'll go from there. But as far as code, Central Ohio Drug Enforcement Task Force, there are 5 county task force, which is Knox, Licking, Muskingum, Perry, and Shopper. When I say we're unique, normally you don't have 2 task forces. Probably 5, 6 years ago, the Sheriff's Office broke away as we worked with Metrics and went with Code Task Force, not because there was issues with the task force, just because of where we were seeing the dope come from. It was the southern areas, Columbus, Lincoln County, 2 big suppliers to Knox County. So that's kind of the reason why they restructured and went with Code Task Force. Mount Vernon chose to stay with the Metrics Drug Task Force. I'm going to let JT explain their task force.
Metrics is the 10-county drug task force, largest decentralized drug task force in the state of Ohio. It started back in the early 80s when Richland County Sheriff's Office and Mansfield Metro Police were working the same target. They found out right before they went to do a search warrant that they were both looking at the same thing. So they decided now's the time to do deconfliction and work together. And meantime to get the other counties to jump on board. So when Craig's at the helm at Code and I was the access officer at the helm for Knox County Metrics, we collectively decided that why not pull both up together. Now we've got 15 counties worth of resources. We can borrow equipment, we can borrow bodies, manpower, and for finances as well for our drug enforcement investigations.
marijuana to this day is still one of the most lucrative drug trades out there. The money, the violence that goes with it is still paramount. As I was stating earlier, we're not dealing with the marijuana of the 70s anymore. Marijuana of the 70s roughly was about 6 to 8% THC, which is the active ingredient. Average today, 21%. Statistic that JT found the other day, it takes 17 and a half joints from marijuana from the 70s to equal one today. What you're seeing here is bubble hash. And you're going to see where it says dabs down at the bottom. Some of you have probably heard the rest of that. Weed, grass, pot, bud, Mary Jane, getting down to dabs. That's the new thing. They're heating that up, heating the glass or container up, and putting this wax on top of it. It vaporizes, they suck it in, they get huge amounts of smoke. Okay? The problem with this is that you're looking at 95% purity or greater THC content. Okay? Versus your 6 or 8% you used to have. Causes psychosis. The edibles, kind of get into that a little bit, but the stuff that we're seeing, Mansfield had an issue at concert. They had edibles, a bunch of people overdosed. There was a college student a little while back that went and got a cookie, and the guy told him he needed 6 of the cookie, wait a half hour. Don't eat the whole thing, because it's a slow onset. Waited a couple minutes, that's not doing anything. Eat some more, next thing you know, he ate the whole cookie. Well, about a half hour later, he was running naked through the hall and jumped out the second story window to his death. Out of his mind. So, I know the mindset of the community is marijuana, that's okay. Is it? Because I can take and show you in about 10 minutes how you can extract this and have that 95% plus purity level. Okay? I know there's arguments about marijuana. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about substance. There's your wax. Just take the dauber, put it in that little bowl that's heated up. It's kind of like a bong. Like your standard bong just has a little different. So there's another picture of the dabs, the wax on the left and the butter on the right. Same difference. We're doing the same thing with it. This is some of the new stuff that we're seeing that's very high in potency. Marijuana products hitting the street today, we're seeing the potent tobacco products in the past. THC level is 95% above. Just what I said below, 17.5 joints to one. There's just some examples of indoor grows that task forces have had. Hydroponic grow. What do you see is significant in that picture? Kids' toys, marijuana. There you go. There's the seed. Weapons, cash, money, still huge.
Hopefully you can see the idea that it's just marijuana.
Task force. Yes. All right, methamphetamine. This by far is one of our biggest issues that we're facing in Knox County right now. We started out early, late 90s, early 2000s. We had some cooks in town. We had some meth labs. They were what they call Red P labs, red phosphorus. And you had to be somewhat knowledgeable to manufacture that with that process. They started, they were seeing this rise all across. Usually the trends come from the west and east. They come from the west coast and come east. But we were seeing tremendous amounts of labs, and they were steadily increasing across the United States. So that's when they started cracking down on the Sudafed cells. Now you have to have driver's license. You only have, I believe it's, how many grams, 30 days. Anyway, you can only have so much, and you can only buy so much in 30 days. And that's part of the reason why, was because of this meth production. As you can see, you got different, I mean, it looks different. On the left, bottom left picture, with the star, got like a pill press. We'll talk about those later. They're selling them as kids' candies. They can be anything. The shards up top on the right. When you see the pink, it just depends on how pure their manufacturing process is. A lot of times with the Sudafed you see, it has a pink coating. Well, they didn't wash it, so they just left it in the mix. So that's why you're seeing that pink tint. High-speed crank, glass, meth, chalk, go, shards, and Tina. Well, what we're seeing here is the street terms for meth. Tina's new on the block. Those are most of what we see and what we hear. I heard another one the other day, came across from Hocking County, a report, they call it cream. That's the only time I've heard it. It's been an isolated incident. Not really going to get into this with the other drugs, we won't, but weight loss, normal sweating, you're going to see this stuff. But the point I want to get across on this is the second to the bottom, and the bottom, aggressive or violent behavior and paranoia. With the onset of meth, we're seeing an increase of violence. They all think they have to have guns, and that's in our community. Okay? These people, their reality is different than ours. Totally different. Double homicide we recently had can be attributed to, in part, in meth. A combination of bath salts. Okay? They're me talking like this, using my hands, to them, they have heightened audio-visual clarity. They perceive things as threats that we don't perceive as threats, and they can attack it and they won't. So, law enforcement, when we're on the street dealing with these people, they can attest to it. You have to keep your guard up. You can't second guess it. After they use so long, they stop getting that high. They're still trying to get that high. That dopamine release in the brain is slowed down and they can't get that good feeling like you eat a candy bar, you know, happy now. They don't get that anymore. Then they get paranoid. Looking out windows, thinking everybody's cops. It's crazy, some of the stories.
Sleeplessness is another major factor that tells they've been up for 3 or 4 days at a time. After being on meth, well, I know how I am if I'm cranky. I'm not sleeping for a couple days. I'm not sleeping around. Add that paranoia, from drunk with it. That's what we deal with.
Mexicans have pretty much dominated the drug trade when it comes to the U.S. within the last several years. The heroin that we're going to talk about was a factor. Now they're really pushing the meth. We still have meth cooks. There's the one-pot method, and you're going to see some examples of that. You're going to get to see how volatile these cooks are. I can teach you in about 10 minutes how to cook meth. Okay? 15. But they're buying everything between the pharmacy and the hardware store. You can get all the ingredients that you need to make meth. It's very simple. The problem is that the aftermath of that, the hazmat waste that you'll be dealing with. Like we said, you're the eyes and ears of the community. And you have to know and educate yourself what you're potentially seeing or smelling. And with somebody that's cooking meth, there's a great potential that you're going to be able to see or at least smell certain things. There's been several presentations that I've been out there and said, have you ever smelled like Coleman camp fuel? Yeah, kind of sweet smell. Yeah, you ever smell like a hot car battery, like sulfuric acid? Yeah. Well, those are all things that you're going to smell in a production lab, these one pots that we're talking about. Unusual odors, ammonia, strong ammonia gases. There's ammonium nitrate that's used in this. It just depends on what process, but the process that we normally see is the one process. If you see large quantities of coke packets they don't have to be large quantities. They can do a couple boxes and make meth. And I mean just the boxes that Sudafed can buy. They have their preference of what it is. Each cook does, but you're going to see those lithium batteries cut open because there's lithium metal that has to be in the cook. Use coffee filters. If you see coffee filters that have stains on them or white residue, that's a giveaway. Empty containers with puncture holes. You're going to see pictures of all this. Duct tape, rubber gauze, respiratory items. Don't normally see because they're not that small.
The meth cokes have gotten kind of wise to the way we operate. They know we pull trash bags from the curb. Those around in their trash, because that's what we're looking for when the batteries field. Looking for blister packs from Superfed. So typically they'll dump it at the dumpster car wash, gas station, out the windows and drive along the road. We've had farmers call us, they'll have large amounts of Powerade, empty drink bottles. We get there and there's remnants of the milk production in those, which is very volatile. A little bit of water on the magnesium strips, and we've got fire.
Some of the things you may see, you have your lithium batteries, you have your blister packs. Down in the bottom left corner, you see in the freezer they have a jar, and you'll see like a white solid in the bottom. And you see there's kind of a change, and there's a layer there. That top layer is going to be methyl oil. They just haven't converted it yet. All your drugs that we take are HCI or HCl drugs that convert it to salts. And they have to use salt it out in order for the body to accept the meth. That's some of the processes that I'll show you here in just a second. Common pipe, they can use light bulbs. They get pretty creative with what they smoke out of. Somebody's in here from the 60s and 70s and they broke the pipe and used to smoke dope. I'm sure they use toilet paper rolls as well. So they get pretty creative with what they use to smoke their stuff. Anhydrous ammonia, there's a Nazi method. They use anhydrous instead of ammonium nitrate. These nurse tanks you see in the fields, a lot of times, you'll see a frost line on those. Anhydrous boils at 28 degrees below zero. So most likely you're going to see a frost line. What these guys will do is they go and drill a hole inside of the tank. They flatten the tires, poke a hole in the tires, and they have a controlled output of that anhydrous coming from inside that tank. So they got their little vessel or whatever they're using, and they're catching that anhydrous. A lot of times you'll see them cook right beside them. If you ever go past one of these tanks and you see a bunch of dead grass, or you see a plume, stay away. Get away, call us, and so we can assess that situation, because that might be just what happened. They just took it. And we're starting to see, at least I've seen, farmers revert back to using some of this. Bottom right, just some of the things you may see in these meth cooks. Propane cylinders, especially the Nazi method with the anhydrous that I just showed you. They like to use those. The problem is that when you use anhydrous, you have to use stainless steel fittings or to oxidize it. So if you go and you see the brass fitting on your tank, or tank laying out there, and it's all blue, that means there's a likely chance that it's had or has anhydrous ammonia. Don't touch it. Call us. Top right corner is kind of hard to see, but that valve's blue. You see down when the other one blew up. You breathe this, it liquefies your lungs, you're done. This is the one pots that I was talking about. Most generally, we're going to see them in a Powerade bottle or a Gatorade bottle. They seem to favor the Powerades because the bottle's a little thicker. But if you go along, you see that, you see solids. You can still see the dark spaces or dark areas in those bottles. That's the lithium strips that's in it. This is a previous meth cook. The one on the left in the green bottle, that looks like it just finished. They haven't taken the liquid out of it. Once it's done, that meth is suspended in that clear liquid that you're seeing. They have to extract that out and then convert that. gas generators that I've talked about where you have to salt this meth out to make it crystallize so you can use it, so the body will accept it. Most of the time we're seeing a 22-ounce pop bottle or 20-ounce pop bottle. They take the cap, they poke a hole in the cap, and they take this aquarium tubing, they stick down in it. They use rock salt, and a little bit of sulfuric acid, makes a gas. That's what they use to salt this out and form the crystals of the meth and the end stages of the manufacturing process. That's after the fire. There's another fire. Shortly, when I start this video, you're going to see a little dark piece of metal fall. What's going to happen is that's going to hit water. Lithium hates water, but you have to have water to start the meth flow. I know we're spending more time on this, but this is one of the most prevalent drugs that we're dealing with. See that piece fall? Fortunately, the vessel ruptured. When you're cooking meth, you have to constantly burp those containers because they build pressure. This one didn't really have much on it, so it was a controlled study. When you see that drop down, that's exactly what happened. So we had a fire at Fallen Avenue, that's up here, here's the back. This is a controlled cook as well. You're going to see what happens here. You can see the bottle expand. That fog you see at the top is all gas. Even the cameraman wasn't ready for that one. You can imagine that in an apartment or a house, confined space, that whole room is totally engulfed in that. And this is Tulsa Fire doing their meth training. Guy gets a little careless, we'll see what happens. Fortunately, they're in their suits, so the two just had minor injuries.
Keep in mind, those videos were all controlled tests.
Sure,
They're doing these in their homes, they're not wearing protective gear, they're not worried about you and your family living next door in the duplex, they're not worried about you driving down the street and going in the back of the car.
Those bottles can be in backpacks, they can be driving down the street, in the house, they can be anywhere. There you go, I played this
Prescription drug abuse, I'm going to touch on this a little bit here. A lot of our heroin problem started with the overprescribing of opiates. Here in America, we want to be pain-free. First thing you're asking the doctor's office is which pain's on a scale of 1 to 10. I live with a little bit of pain every day. I don't ever look to get that 0. That's what our prescribers, want us to be at. Now that that's kind of been tightened up, folks are looking to other things. Right now, some of the commonly used drugs, oxycodone, hydrocodone, Xanax, Suboxone, and I did say Suboxone, which is the anti-abuse. They're learning how to abuse that by mixing the right things. And the new one recently is gabapentin, used for nerve pain and anti-seizure. They're obviously easy to obtain. We use the term doctor shopping. Folks will go to the doctor one day for a pain or an ailment. You see a doctor 2 days later for the same pain and ailment, not knowing the first doctor prescribed that. Now they've got double pain meds. High levels of addiction with these opiates. It says high cost overuse. We've had folks tell us about taking 20 or 30 pills a day just to stay well. We're not prescribed that, then you got to get them someplace. So we have folks that, that's how they pay the rent. They get the opiates that they don't need anymore for old ailments, and they'll sell them. Typically, right now, the going rate's about $1 a gram. So 30 gram of Percocet would cost you about $30. You see how someone over time that maybe 10 a day, that's $300 a day. Easy to build a tolerance. Get to where you're just taking enough to get well. That increases the more they take. They can't get that high anymore. 80% of patients prescribed narcotics over 90 days will be on narcotics 5 years or more. That's a national study Craig just found the other day when we were researching this.
Cartels, they're in it for the money. It's business to them. So anywhere they can find an opportunity to make money, they're going to do it. Unfortunately today, what we're starting to run into is they're counterfeiting these drugs. The Oxycontin, the oxycodones, the Xanax. They're using fentanyl, carfentanil, other synthetic drugs. Some probably heard of the pink drug, it's called U47700, which is another synthetic, basically fentanyl or carfentanil, hundreds of times stronger than what the drug is found in the real prescription drug. Typically, back until recently, the pill presses for these illicit drugs were outside of the United States. It was only the pharmaceutical manufacturers that had these presses. So you find that solid pill in its different shapes, colors, and imprints. That's coming from a pill press. Well, those are now in the United States. So what they're doing now is they're counterfeiting the 80s, the 30s, the 10s, the Xanax, and they're putting fentanyl, carfentanil in. So these people are taking it thinking they're getting the regular prescription drugs. The next thing you know, they're in an overdose situation or dying because that's what this is. The other problem with this is with the fentanyls that we're dealing with is that those absorb through the skin very, very easily. If you breathe it, microgram shut you down, you're dead. Shuts the central nervous system down, you die. So they're getting in. I don't know how many has been in pill bottles and you dump them out and you see all that powder, from the pills rattling around in there that you have. Well, you touch that in this situation, good chance you're going to overdose. Follow up to the prescription drugs he was just talking about is heroin. Why do you think they went to heroin? Cheaper, right? So our borders started getting flooded with heroin. They saw another opportunity to make money. It was in the 70s, went away, comes back in the 60s. 70s. Heroin comes in all different types of forms. I didn't put them all on here. We didn't do it. So we can go on and on and on and on. Different colors. We got what we call black tar heroin. This looks like tar. Kind of fitting DOA for the top one. And some of the street slang for it, boy, tar, gravel, and berries are our most common terms that we see around here. Cheaper than prescription pills, longer lasting, better high. Get immune to it, need more. People may look fine when they function, They're just doing enough to stay well. Some of these people, you can't tell. They're going to dry out, get extremely sick. They don't like that. That's part of when it comes to the recovery process. One of the things that they don't like is that they know they're going to go through hell for several days because, and that depends largely on the amount of use and their tolerance.
That's been one of our obstacles with folks that have come to us, we've been done investigations on, that we know about them and what they're doing. And they finally make that choice to come to us and say, hey, I want help. We're always there to give that help. It's not all about putting them in jail, but it's that sickness that they know they're going to have for 3 or 4 days. They absolutely can't turn away from. They've got to go use just to be well.
They're constantly looking for techniques in different ways to conceal it from law enforcement. So this was an individual that we caught a while back. And it's just recently been caught again, but he thought he was pretty sly and slick until I got a search warrant for his vehicle. So that's double money fruit can with the false bottom. We got meth and heroin inside the can. I took that picture in the jail and I slid it in front of him. You just see him melt. It was awesome. So he gets out on bond. We were utilizing a confidential informant in this case. Confidential informant hits me up and says, hey, he's hit me up again. All right, let's do it. Well, he's feeling a little bit different this time. He's got a little metal box. It's got a bag on it. He's putting it up underneath. And he's got a gun. Okay. So we get him again. So that's what we had on him the second time. It's a little bit older now. This guy here, you can see, this was an overdose. We had a death overdose. Still had the syringe in his other hand. It was that quick. When we checked his vehicle, because he'd gone down to rehab, his family that he was living with thought he was doing great. We go out in the vehicle, and here's the fake urine that he was using to try to pass his screens with whoever was supervising. The fentanyl we're talking about. Lethal doses in each one of those. So you can see the heroin, and the fentanyl, and the carfentanil. And that's what you're looking at as a lethal dose. And that's for a user. Carfentanil is generally engineered towards large animals. Chemists from China and a couple other countries. This is middle of the road. This isn't even the bad stuff yet that they can manufacture. And it's bad.
Dealers are using fentanyl to cut the heroin. We could go a little farther, we could a little more bang for the buck, so to speak. They obviously don't measure it like pharmaceutical companies do. You don't know what you're going to get. We've actually purchased heroin and sent it off to the lab and expecting to get back results saying X amount of grams of heroin. There's more fentanyl in it than there's heroin, so that's how they're reporting it to us.
There again, cartels looking to make money. Fentanyls are cheap. Chinese are selling it cheap. The projections are that heroin in the near future is going to be all fentanyl. And none of the poppies you normally see. Carfentanil 10,000 times more potent than morphine. Those two drugs that we just talked about, the heroin and the methamphetamine, carfentanil and the fentanyls that we're seeing combined with that, is what we're dealing with here. Our last several overdoses that we've had, and fatalities, have come back with either fentanyl or carfentanil in them.
Well, we've had to actually change the way we do our drug testing. We used to have field test kits, and we take a little bit of the drug, put it in the field test kit, and break the envelopes and get the color you want, tell them what kind of drug it is. They're telling us now if it's powdered heroin, the chance of it having fentanyl, do not test it. So we're not even field testing stuff. We're separating black on the field. We're doing it under hoods, masks on, gloves. Crack and cocaine. Crack is back. From the 80s, it's back. We're seeing another increase in cocaine. Price has a lot to do with that. The street names for coke: nose candy, soft, blow, hard, white, cookies, ball, 20 rock, and girl. You remember we said boy was heroin, girl's cocaine. Signs of use: increased heart and respiratory rates. A lot of heart issues, which are using cocaine and send them right into cardiac arrest. Dilated pupils, decreased appetite, but not hungry anymore. They get the fix, and that's all they're worried about being high. Irritability, argumentative behavior, loss of coordination, most in a drunken state.
See my little put in.
The drugs that we've seen, these are hitting the news, which you're all familiar with. Some of these bath salts, spice. Spice is a synthetic type marijuana. We had a local business that was pushing that. It was quite a little while to get that done, and we did. With that, we were having folks hallucinating, not knowing where they were at, who they were. They were just as dangerous as the other drugs we're supposed to try tonight. Inhalants, paint, dust off, and glue. Driving right down Shotgun Avenue several months ago, a guy huffing dust off. It's a quick high, it doesn't last as long. You're still doing it, it's cheap and it's easy to get. A lot of times you see in the model car sections and such in the stores, gotta be 18 by glue. That's the reason why. DMX, Triple C are your cold medicines. They use the term Rovoin. They'll get 2 or 3 bottles of Robitussin and chug it, using that short high. Vapor cigarettes, this is synthetic oils. Craig knows a little bit more about that. THC things.
Go back to the DMS Triple C a little bit. A few years back, we had a pursuit with an individual, Officer Licious. I don't know if he's going to be here tonight, but that individual during that pursuit, Licious was trying to deploy stop sticks. The guy saw him, threw it right off, hit him, flipped him over the car. That guy was laid out on the floor seat. He was had several packages, blister packs, where he was just down that and out of his mind. Vapor cigarettes, vape pens, all these vape shops and stuff, the oils, everybody familiar with those now? You see it more and more. See large plumes of smoke when they come out. Well, the extraction process that they're using, when we go back to talking about the THC marijuana, they're putting that in oils, and with this extraction process, it takes the smell away. So I could be smoking marijuana right next to you, THC, you never know, you won't smell it. So that started to pose an issue with our youth. They're finding this out, and that's relatively hard for us to detect, so we just have to, if we see it, depending on the situation, we're going to take it, test it, and see what's going on. This is huge. Drug versus crime. This is kind of where we're at. And this is why it's so important when we talk about community. Quite frankly, just being honest, I get tired of hearing about law enforcement being to blame all the time when it comes to drugs. Why aren't you doing something? Well, we are, but we can't do it all. So we have to go to the community. The community has to get involved in this effort. Just kind of a rundown. You have your user. That user has to pay for those drugs. How do you think he's doing that? Breaking into your car, stealing, robberies, burglaries, B&Es, retail theft, ID theft, stealing from Walmart, all them all the time. Their shrinkage goes up. What do you think that does to the price? Okay? So these guys go out and they steal from you. What's your reprieve? You have insurance, right? So you go, maybe you turn that into insurance. So you file all these claims. Now the insurance company starts to evaluate Knox County and say, what's going on in Knox County? And that crime rate's soaring. Well, guess what happens? Premiums go up, right? What happens when premiums go up? Property values start going down. Everything starts to deteriorate. That's why it's important to get involved. We want to come to the community and ask for your help. We have to. You live there. You know what's going on. You know if it's normal, if it's not normal. We don't know that. The problem for us is if we go out and we ask for your help, and then you call in, you give us the information we requested, and then you don't see some type of action right off the rip, you get frustrated, which creates more animosity towards us. Believe me, we're not saying that your situation is any less important than any others. It's not about that. We have to prioritize with what we got. Know that that information that you're giving us may be that missing link that we've got, that we don't have, that gets us in somewhere else or gets us a search warrant. So we can take that and sect out. It does us no good to keep going after the street level users if we don't get the dealers. So our goal is always to move up that food chain. We have to have your help to do it. Know your area. You know what's normal. Increased foot traffic, vehicle traffic, short-term traffic, to residents, bicycles, huge now. See them all running around midnight, 1 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning, they got their backpack on and the bicycle. Well, that's one of the modes of transportation you're utilizing because it poses different issues for law enforcement. So if you start seeing that and they're rolling up to the house, they're there for a couple minutes, they leave, pretty good chance something's not going on, there's something going on there. Drug paraphernalia on the ground, you're going to find it in the area. Can't tell you how many complaints you've had. Parks, neighbors. Now, when you start seeing that, you know you've got an issue. See the activity? Plate numbers. You can get plate numbers. Okay? Descriptions, date of month, time of day. We don't have the resources to go out and just sit on each complaint we get. Okay? So the more information that you can give us, the better off it is for us. We can start putting that together. Well, we know it's this time of the month, this time of the week, this time of the day. Okay, we can go out and sit during that time and focus our efforts and utilize our resources the best way we can. This is code. This isn't metrics. This is just our 5 counties. The reason why I put this on there is I just wanted you to see kind of the graph and what we're dealing with. Marijuana is still present or prevalent, but look at the heroin and the meth. We are unique for some reason. You go to Columbus, they don't really hear about meth. They hit it every now and again. Like, you got a meth problem? Yeah, we got a meth problem. Steps out of Lincoln County. Lincoln County's inundated with it. We're integrated with it.
2 ways to report that are real easy for you. Non-answered numbers goes to voicemail, so you don't have to worry about feeling edgy talking to somebody. We're not going to pressure you for your name. We just want your information. Feel free to leave your name. We will follow up call. Knox County Sheriff's Office anonymous line and PD anonymous lines there. Write those down. There are some magnets over there. The police department's number. That call you make may be that piece of the puzzle we need.
Even if you do leave your name and number, we'll call you back and get information from you. It's our goal to protect that person. So we get that information, we try to substantiate that information in different ways, so we never have to involve that person. Okay, that's what we try to do. All right.
It doesn't do us any good to burn you. We're not going to go to the drug dealer and say, hey, your neighbor just called and said, you got traffic in there. It's not how we work. We're smarter than that. We don't want to scare you with what we've talked about tonight. If it did scare you, good. Because now you know it's a reality here, not living in Knox County.
That's right.
I'll just leave you with one last thing, something to think about. Sometimes we go out there, we know, and these people know what's going on, and they're afraid to come forward and say, I don't want to get involved because I'm afraid of repercussions. My answer to that is okay, you live in this neighborhood. The dealer's next to you, okay? And that dealer has a dealer. He's getting his dope from somewhere, or she's getting her dope from somewhere. So let's say, for some reason, he ticked him off. He didn't pay him, he got in front of the dope. Didn't pay him. Now that dealer's ticked off. That dealer's going to come up and send a message. So he drives by and caps 2 rounds off the house. Now goes to the window, goes to the other window, goes in your house, kills your son or daughter. When do you want to get involved? Would you rather take the risk of reporting and saying, hey, I've got this? Or do you want to wait to see if something blows up and then somebody really gets in? So that's kind of my counter to them saying, I don't want to get involved. I'm afraid to get involved. I don't want the repercussions. We just told you we'll do everything we can in our power to try to keep you out of that loop. Okay? But the community has to get involved. There's other things that we can do. We'll talk about later. It's going to be established. Just put pressure on them. Know that you're watching them. Man, I know what's going on. We're watching them. They're going to move around. Like we shut them out in the county. We just don't want here. So, folks, I appreciate you guys taking the time to listen. Turn it back over to Mr. Collier here.
Thank you. At this time, my job was to introduce the Danville officers and 2 canine units. Ironically, they're on an active call right now. Both officers and both units are actually actively part of the stop right now. So they won't be with us. We are going to try to get them here Thursday night for that portion. But we'll move on to the question and answer period. We want to allow everybody an opportunity to ask a question if they have it. We would ask you that you keep the questions relevant to tonight's presentation, because there are other presentations that will happen over the next several weeks, and we want to ask the specific questions to those individuals. So at this time, if you're ready, I'll actually give you, so you both have a microphone to answer that. I'll give the other microphone. If you have questions, just raise your hand. I'll bring the mic to you.
How many people are involved in those task force?
You talking throughout all the counties or just our county?
Because we work as a team together.
We usually have roughly 20, 25 when we have a quarterly meeting. And those are agents that are assigned to the task force. So that's the code. The metrics is a little different.
Not every county has dedicated drug officers. Here in Mount Vernon, we've got 4 detectives that primarily work with drugs. We also work every other caseload too. Burglaries, thefts, homicides, all that. So,
I guess to better answer your question, we have all these task force numbers. We have an analyst from the military as well, and he helps us, he's our support, but crime travels across lines and with the drugs and stuff, so we're constantly in contact with other agencies, other task forces, state and federal level, county levels, you name it. We're constantly working with all of them, partnering with them to actually get the end result. That's to get the bad guys and dope off the street. So it's kind of hard to put a number to it. But if we get something big and we got to pull in resources, then we're going to pull from them. It's that. It's a give and take with counties. You know, they'll send guys out of counties when they need something to round up or investigations. If we need that, we'll send that as well.
Another question over here.
The canine units that are so effective in drug detection and all. Does Mount Vernon have any plans for a canine?
yes, we actually do. I think they're going to talk about that a little bit Thursday night. Arms of an Angel Foundation, Dave Bubbles in there in the back, is spearheading the campaign to help raise funds for canine.
Another question.
Do you have any estimate of what fraction of the drug traffic in the county you're interdicting is You think it's half, 10% or 1%?
I don't know if I can put a number to that. Our trend that we saw real quick was back when this first started, heroin started coming on. You would see the street level users going to Columbus, the big cities, to pick up heroin. They would get 2 grams, bring a gram back, sell the other gram to support their habit. Now what we're facing is that the big cities are so saturated with dealers and dope, they can't make money. So they're branching out, and they're also doing it to afford detection as well. So a berry of heroin is a 10th gram of heroin. So you got 10 tenths of a gram. You're selling a berry. Up here, you're looking at a berry, it's about 20, 25 bucks. In Columbus, it's 6 to 8 bucks. So it's a business decision for them as well to come up here. Normally what we see is these dealers will they'll throw some dope to somebody that lives in a residence and trap out of their house. When I mean trap, and sell out of the house. And they'll stay for a while, and they'll bounce around and they'll split. So it makes detection harder for us to, there's certain elements that we have to meet. When you call in and give us information, some people think just that information is enough for us to just go there and shut that place down. That's not the case. There's criminal elements of the law that we have to meet. So that takes time. Sometimes it's faster than others. Other times it's a step process. So that's kind of the trend that we're seeing is these other dealers. And now we have the wannabes that are trying to get their own game and become one of the kingpins as well.
I don't want to put you on the spot. Your bosses are here, the commissioners are here, the mayor's here. But both of you, in the perfect scenario to do the job that you need to do, what tools, what manpower, what do you need to do? Because the other people that are in here are the citizens that will help pay that bill. How can we get this done so Knox County and Mount Vernon is known as, we can't go there?
It's funny that you asked that, because the mayor and I just had this discussion the other day. Quite honestly, when it comes to Knox County, we've never gotten it right. But we've never had the issues that we've had now. It's kind of, it's always, it's kind of a bedroom community. We don't have that problem here. And guess what? It's in our face now. So, the problem for us is, there's a lot of problems. It starts from the federal government down. There's budget crunches. They cut monies to task forces, to departments that were utilized for drug enforcement efforts and other things, education, stuff like that, has been cut out. Now, the trend's treatment. So they have the CARE Act. Rob Portman was one of the ones that were instrumental in this CARE Act, which is what a lot of our facilities here, treatment facilities, they get funds from that, it's divvied down from the states. The problem with that is that it's all treatment. You're treating symptom. Unless we have enforcement and we reduce that exposure, we're never going to get ahead of that game. I got more people. You ask the people that work with behavioral health, with the Freedom Center, ask them about the caseload they've got. They're tapped out. They don't have the resources to properly handle everybody. They do the best they can, but you have too much exposure. We reduce that exposure, you have to have that balance.
Yeah.
There's never been a balance. The federal government on that has to be a balance. For us to properly tackle that, obviously resources, having dogs in place, full-time agents. I mean, this is our problem. This is what causes 85–90%. Huh?
Community involvement.
Yep, community involvement. It's like we were talking earlier. You have to give us the information and get involved. Like I said, there's other things than us just going out and kicking in doors that we can do to put pressure on these people to make a move. But that all comes to an educational training process. But that's all the stuff that we need to properly handle what we've got. Obviously, that all costs money, and that's a fact.
One of the easiest ways to gather tip information is with the cell phone. Take a picture of the license plate. Where's the site, the phone number that I can forward that to?
You call one of these tip lines.
Well, I call it, but it's on my cell phone. I need to send it to you? How do I send it?
If you call that tip line, or I'll give you my business card tonight, I'll give you my work cell phone number, and you get those, you send them to me, because you aren't the only one who do that. That's several.
But why don't you just put the number out there?
Oh, that's a landline.
I understand that.
Hey, if you're looking, if you just want to email pictures, is that what you're talking about doing? Basically, you have a photo, you want to email it to somebody, and I'm not, you can tell me if the PD's the same way. The Knox County Sheriff's Office website, the detective division has all the detective emails listed right on that website. So you can email right there, and she probably has information as far as the PD.
Exactly. We don't have a cell service yet that you could just randomly send something to like we do tip lines. So we have to go through the email service right now. But believe it or not, there are entities out there that are actually working on emergency services that uses the cell phone services. We just do not have access to them now, but it's future. Has anybody seen the show APB? Anyway, that's exactly what they're using, the cell service to get access from the citizens so they can immediately send this stuff in. We're not there yet, but we are working towards that. But right now we have to go through the email system, which almost every cell phone can send to the email. And then once you get contact with the detectives, at least in our department, I'm pretty sure in the sheriff's department, they have access to business cell phones that they will accept personal information from callers.
I guess the other thing is, don't feel obligated that I have something in the city, I can't talk to a county detective, or they're not sharing. If you live in the city and you happen to see one of our detectives, they're talking on a daily basis. Same thing, you live in the county, but you know JT or you know one of the other detectives, or you forward information, or for whatever reason you leave it on the PD's line. Don't think that it's going to get lost and not forwarded. These guys are talking every day, and especially if they have information.
Road officers too, you just know patrolmen out there. We transfer information up, down, sideways, and laterally. So don't think that the information doesn't get passed along.
Question over here.
So as far as the rights to pictures are helpful, or documentation of traffic in that area?
Pictures are worth 1,000 words. So, I mean, if you can give us a little description, if you snap that picture, you send an email, kind of fill us in on what that is. Where's it at? What time of night, day, whatever. Well, yeah, I mean, it's likely that we're probably going to know that person that's on it. A lot of times, yes. Sometimes they're just bouncing from house to house, wherever they can find a place to stay that night.
Another question on this side.
I know that they're teaching the public how to handle somebody who's overdosed. They're teaching kids now how to put that syringe or whatever in. My question is this: if one little micron of this stuff can cause someone to overdose, is it best to not get involved in that when you see somebody and just call somebody now? Because that's my fear. I travel a lot, I've encountered a couple of people in their cars, they're on the side of the road, and they're clearly, and is it best now for the public to not touch those people? I mean, honestly, if just a powder can cause you to, that's my question.
That's kind of a catch-22 question. Recently, I just went to a training, and BCI was there. They were at the DEA conference or training, and they were discussing that exact issue. Okay, well, they're saying, law enforcement, send it off, don't mess with it. Well, you still have first responders that are going in the house and in contact with these people all the time. How many of those first responders have we seen that have actually been exposed where to the point where they feel effects? It's very limited. If you're in a confined area, the biggest thing that you want to do, I would say, is on your approach, before you get up, start looking around. If you start seeing powders laying out or whatever, obviously, let the first responders take care of that. Let them know, too, because, there's certain things that they need to do gloves, respirators, things like that. But I mean, that's kind of a catch-22. I'm not going to go out there and tell you not to treat one of these people. The chances, I would say, are slim that would happen. Could it happen? It could happen because they fall out so fast. So that's going to be just a decision that you're going to have to make in that specific circumstance.
I have a question. On your PowerPoint, you said oxycodone, OxyContin,
And Percocet were easy to get. For me, I have to go to my doctor and he has to find a reason to give me that. So maybe you can explain, how is that easy to get?
I have the same problem myself. I had knee surgery, and I didn't want pills. So it was 3 days afterwards, and I said, yeah, I better have that Percocet. But I know what you mean.
All right, Mayor, I appreciate the question, but we're not going to answer that, okay? Because we're not going to put that kind of information out of how to access the activity to get the drugs. Just know that that is, doctor shopping is an easy way to get the information, so.
Question over here.
My question is, with the youth of the county now, I see a rise with underage people with the drugs. Like, I got kids telling me all the time, escape zone. Kids are selling drugs at the escape zone. Like, what's going on with the youth?
If you're coming to these, you're going to hear probably presentations from KSAT and other things and training that they're trying to get out there, hidden in plain sight, or their version of that, to educate parents. That is, quite frankly, an area that we're trying to improve on that. Their program was I forget when that was taken away, 08, 09. That was more effective than what people believed it to be. They're starting to put SROs, resource officers, back in the schools, so that is an area that is so accepted now. It's just the dynamics of what we're dealing with are just crazy. You know, I'd be afraid to death to try any of that. And these kids out there, a lot of them just, yeah, but dad did it, and mom did it, and that's the problem. We're trying to break the cycle now because we're going through, second and third generation. That's all I know. Oh, we're still alive. So, I mean, those are some of the issues. It gets so complex, they can stand up here for quite a while and just kind of give you those demographics of what we see, but obviously I can't do that. But that is an area that we're trying to improve on through education and an area that will be targeted as far as long-term.
Right. My question is, and I don't want to get into a topic that maybe we're going to get into more later. So you did mention it, and what's happening as far as the doctors in the area? Because, I know from various places that there's a couple doctors in the county that have been over-prescribing for an ongoing length of time, and there's obviously a percentage of that that's really contributing to the problem. Like, where is that going? Like, what's happening on that?
Several years back, there was a couple of doctors that did the exact same thing, but it was a money game for them. And we were able to shut them down. When it comes to doctors and prescribing habits, you would think there would be some pretty hard guidelines out there. They have put some regulations down as far as pill mills and how much they can prescribe or how many pills or whatever. But still, that's largely left to their discretion. So that is very, very tough for us to deal with. Yeah, we have a system that's called HORSE. It's a high automated RX reporting system, and the doctors, pharmacies are mandated to report to that. So one of the things that we can do now is we can go on, if we get a complaint about maybe an individual's doctor shopping, we can go run an ORS on that person and see what kind of prescription drugs, controlled drugs they're getting, if they're doctor shopping, if they're overlapping prescriptions. Doctors can be held accountable. You can see their prescribing habits and things like that. I had a real eye-opener. Springfield, we did an investigation. We had an informant here that this doctor used to be in Knox County, went to Springfield, was down there. You know, they've had some issues. Look about it down in that area. But we went and met with the medical board, and it was an eye-opener. Like, you're kidding me. They can prescribe all this, and that's okay. So that is very tough for us to do. We can go.
Something in place now, like for cases, just they're trying to do something with the doctors to hold them more responsible. Aren't there things that are?
That was part of the pill mill. And I don't have all the particulars of that, but they're trying to crack down on prescribing habits of doctors when it comes to this.
Couple things. One thing that really concerns me is that I'm getting the feeling, talking to people from outside Knox County, that Knox County is a headquarters now. I mean, a few years ago, at council meetings, we would talk about, Newark, we would talk about Marion. And now, it seems like people in the state and surrounding counties are talking about Mount Vernon. And I think I guess my first question is, are you seeing that too? That people are thinking, oh wow, it's not Marion necessarily, or Newark that are the worst, Mount Vernon.
We are, unfortunately, yes. BCI, as I was talking to with his training says, and he's been working down around Fairfield, hockey, in that area, and they're hearing about it. So I keep hearing about it. We knew, to go back and kind of support the statement I made earlier, these people are branching out, the dealers are branching out. They're trying to go where they, don't fear detection and things like that. This is an evolving process here. I mean, it's the man hours, the amount of man hours, the amount of stress it puts on us in these investigations is tremendous. And like he said, burnout. You have to really control that. And believe me, we get just as frustrated as the public does with dealing with some of these people. It seems like we'll hit them, and then 6 months later, they're right back doing the same thing. So,
obviously you need us to help. And I guess the second question I had, was last night at the council meeting, John Francis was talking about bicycles. And it never occurred to me that, I guess I just didn't ride bicycles like late at night, early in the morning, and it never occurred to me that this was a major transport of drugs until But I mean, every night. I know, and it's never struck me before until John said that last night. It's, oh my gosh, wow. I mean, you need to be watching that. Are there, and John, you talked about how there's legislation that are in the books about people need to have their bicycles registered, which I don't, and I'm concerned about myself. But is there anything that you can do? Can you stop people that you suspect that are riding a bicycle?
We have been.
You have been. Okay, so that's something you're doing. Are there other kinds of things like that maybe are things that we should be watching out for, that is something that I never thought of before, or maybe some of the other people here haven't thought of?
Well, all the reporting we're talking about that we want to hear is, you probably grocery shop at the same place every time. A lot of people get safe burgers. Maybe you go 2-3 evenings a week, and the same car is always parked in that same spot. They're out by the road, and as you're walking back and forth to your car, 2 or 3 cars stop. 5 minutes, less than 5 minutes. You see maybe a hand. Those are things we need reported.
Question over here.
It's not just neighborhoods. Just to reiterate, when you talk about stopping people, we still have to have a reason for that stop. So we have to have some probable cause to make that stop to contain it.
Yeah, I'd like to, first of all, thank you, gentlemen, for coming up tonight. It's been very helpful to hear from you and
get ourselves educated. Susan just touched on a topic that I wanted to bring up tonight, and that has to do with bicycles, and you talked about it as well, Feeney. I did a little research because where I live in a house a few blocks from downtown, and we have a drug house probably 5 houses away from where I live. In fact, so we have called the police many, many times. Every time they come out, they said, yes, we're aware, we're trying to help you, but we have probable cause to pull these people over. And I understand that, and I know you have a big job, a big task to do. But I did some research and found that there are, in fact, city ordinances against bicycle riders, or bicycles. Number one, they have to have, at nighttime, it's the sunset to sunrise, a lamp that beams out 500 feet. If they don't have that, you can pull them over for a misdemeanor.
That's what's happening.
So you have probable cause to pull these people over. Another thing, another law or ordinance is, I'll just get to a big one here. They have to register their bicycle with the chief of police, according to our city ordinance. That's right. They cannot ride a bicycle without registering their bike and having a license on their bike. So if we have these laws in place, we need to utilize them to our benefit, to get these people out of our streets and out of our community. We have to hassle them. We have to give them, let them know if they're not wanted here, we have to cause problems for them. And we have the laws in place. We just need to enforce them.
And we've actually made traffic stops or patrol units. No light at night, that's one. Riding on the sidewalk in the downtown business district is another.
There's one other thing.
They've had the Danville dog actually come in and do a sniff of the bicycle and found no.
There's one other thing. If you do pull them over for any of these misdemeanors, you can impound their bicycle.
Thirdly.
That is in our city code.
Question over here. On the K9, the unit didn't get to be here tonight. Can you tell us the advantage of having a K9? And can we give somebody money tonight? Because I'm not sure if I'll be here Thursday. Right here.
There certainly is an advantage. K9, drug sniffing K9 is another tool on our belt that we can use. That dog's trained, obviously, for narcotics. Whether they're there now or just were, we may not find it. But that dog indicates on it, that gives us proper cause to search that vehicle. And we're getting a lot of dough with the dogs in town. We also have an interdiction officer, Jessie Butler. She varies her hours. She's really got it down pat where a lot of these drug houses are, and what the commonplace is for that neighborhood. And she's another tool that we have at the police department. She's out of call rotation, and that's all she's concerned about is drug trafficking.
I know we're trying to stay on schedule. We've got 3 or 4 more people with questions. I do want to mention that there's a flyer on the KSAT table about how and where you can make a donation, even tonight, for that, towards that.
I just want to real quick say, I know what you're saying. You're trying to develop probable cause and make it stop. It's just like a vehicle, though. If we don't have something that's in plain sight, plain smell like dope, marijuana, we can't just search it. We can't just search the backpack. We have to have a reason to do that. So that's what poses the problem. That's why a dog is so imperative.
There's also a time element on how quickly you have to do that as well.
That's correct. We can't wait, 45 minutes to get the dog there. They have to be there during the course of a normal traffic stop unless we have a reason to extend that traffic stop.
I asked this question last month, I believe it was, at City Hall about the education concerning DARE, which we have, I think, the Sheriff's Office has the DARE program. My understanding was because the funding wasn't still available. It was a program that people said that was very effective to not effective at all. It's a nationwide program, which everybody knows about DARE, K-12 program, and also it was an excellent program. It was the matter of funding. Can the sheriff answer that, or maybe the sheriff want to address?
Initially, yes, it was. Initially, it was a funding issue with budget cutbacks in 08, 09, and we directed those guys into the patrol bureau, patrol officers. I think the latest thing that we're looking at, probably that we may want to institute as far as beginning of next school year, would be the SRO, or the school resource officer. I know there is some specific funding that will address some of those issues, and I think that is going to be our approach to get an officer in the schools for the drug education portion, or that matter, but also just that building a relationship and that officer's ability to interact with those students. So that is one of the things that is on our upcoming agenda, hopefully to get squared away for next school year.
Another question?
So I want to thank you guys very much for your hard work keeping our county safe. My question would be, do you guys do checks in the schools, and if so, like, are you finding certain drugs in the school more than others, even like in maybe elementary, middle schools?
Yeah, typically just about every school in the county gets a check. That's usually instrumented by the school resource officers, the school administration. Marijuana is probably the most prevalent that we're finding. Not a lot of it, but we are hearing other, harder drugs in the schools.
Question right here.
What about infiltration into the drug market? Are you doing anything, or is there hope that even you could trade off with some of the other counties so people wouldn't be recognized, but to infiltrate and make the drug buys so that you can arrest? And then what about the accompanying criminality of trafficking and prostitution that accompanies all this?
When it comes to using undercover agents, there are some advantages and there's disadvantages. Back in the early 2000s, there was a joint investigation with Fredericktown Police Department, Mount Vernon, and BCI. It took them approximately 2 years to get 24 defendants. That entire time, we have all these people complaining, what's being done, what's being done. I can't say anything. So, to use professional paid informants to do that is a time-consuming process. They have to come into the community, they have to get them a job, a place to stay, and then they've got to wiggle their way into these cells. It takes forever. One of the tools that we utilize the most is confidential informants. This guy got picked up for, let's say, F5 possession, felony 5 possession. Well, you got to give us 2 people. If they meet the criteria, they're not eliminated from certain standards that we have, then we're going to flip those people. The prosecutor has to give us the okay to do that. We utilize them. It's a headache sometimes, but that's the only way that we're going to do it. We're going to do it quicker. Using other officers, we do undercover and introduce undercovers at times. It just depends on the circumstances, but that's not very prevalent.
Question here.
And you've mentioned how these people tend to move around. My impression is they move between a fairly small number of properties. Is there things we can do to, I won't say eliminate the properties, but it's, at least in my neighborhood, if you asked me to identify a half dozen, it wouldn't take me long to say, well, go here, 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 and here.
Wow.
One thing
That's actually started with the Knox County prosecutor, Chip Conway. We, in probably 4 months' time, Craig and I put together 24 defendants. And out of those, 3 were proved that the landlord and tenant knew exactly what was going on there. And that was quite a burden proof to do. But we were able to at least start that process of the prosecutor notifying these landlords that we're not going to stand for it.
I know it all takes resources, but I would assume that you could have a database, that says, oh, in the past 5 years, we've had 6 arrests at this place. I mean, it's small enough that everyone would probably in the local PD say, oh, we're back again. But if you, once sometimes you put those numbers in front of you, you're like, wow, it's a bigger problem than I thought.
Right, and that's what we did collectively with the residents on Sugar Street. We saw that in the news. The Sheriff's Office and PD did some buys. The Sheriff's Office took those cases. We had 4 overdoses at that same residence. And I just had enough. And made a call to the prosecutor and said, what could we do? And Craig was happy enough to give up those buys for the greater good, and got doors on the house. She just actually got sentenced last week to 6 years.
Thank you for being here. I'm a Miller Township road superintendent. You know how many townships we got around this county? Quite a few. Is there any way you can come to, like, the township people, train the trustees and road superintendents from all townships to what to look for out on the roads? 'Cause I'll tell you what, I know a lot of roads, and you wouldn't believe how many problems I find along the roads and stuff. And instead of picking them up, you just mow them over and you don't know what it is. Right. So we were told, I don't know. Is there any way that we could come out to, or you could come out to these township meetings, get them on one-on-one, what to look for? I mean, these guys are on the roads all the time. And what a better place, this would be, if you could tell them what to do and stuff like that.
Yeah, we've actually done a couple presentations with local fire departments and such. I don't know if you did any township meetings or not, but I'm certain we can adjust schedules and do what we need to do to get folks up to par on, what to look for. Because, yeah, that's I see the Boy Scout troop going up State Route 95, picking up trash. It takes one bottle to not pick up the right way.
No, we did away with it. We won't.
Right.
We won't let them do it.
I would say coordinate with the sheriff in outlying areas. When he goes to some of the township meetings, that's not an issue. If you schedule a time, we can do the presentation.
We want to be sensitive to the time. It is 8 o'clock. There's one final question. So they would take that, but I know these officers will be around afterwards if see people want to talk to them. We'll talk specifics. So if you haven't had a chance to ask a question, is there someone who'd like to? If not, I'd ask you a person individually. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. In my opinion, this is a strong beginning to where we want to end up. Thank you all for coming. I encourage you to come back on Thursday evening when we're going to talk about crime prevention, crime trends, neighborhood watch programs, and community safety. Again, we have these meetings often and we don't get a real good turnout. I think tonight's encouraging for all of us, and we'll be looking forward to seeing you out here on Thursday evening. Detective, thank you very much. My assistant tells me that we are going to have bike patrol outside, some opportunities, and so if you come at 5:45, hopefully the weather will be as good as it is this evening. The meeting officially will start at 6:30. Thank you again. We look forward to seeing you.
Yeah.